What would you do if, while enjoying a fine dinner in a luxury restaurant, someone softly tapped on your shoulder and whispered, "May I have your leftovers, sir?" Imagine for a moment a U-turn, and standing before you is not just a stranger, but someone whose eyes hold a story you cannot ignore. This is not just a story of wealth or poverty, it's a story of humanity, compassion, and the miracle that can happen when two worlds collide. Stay with me, because by the end, you may see life differently too. The evening had started like any other for Daniel Grant, a successful millionaire who had everything money could buy. He was seated at his favorite rooftop restaurant, the city lights sparkling below like diamonds scattered across a black velvet cloth. The waiters bowed with respect, the finest wine poured into crystal glasses, and a plate of perfectly grilled steak rested before him. Yet, even with all his wealth, Daniel felt an emptiness inside that no luxury could fill. He was lonely, living in a mansion far too big for one man, and though people admired his success, he rarely felt truly seen. Just as Daniel lifted his fork, he felt a gentle tug at his sleeve. Startled, he turned Nita and saw her, a young woman, thin, her clothes worn but clean, holding the hand of a little boy who looked no older than 6. Her voice trembled as she spoke, barely above a whisper. "May I broken bar? May I have your leftovers, sir?" "Just something for my son. He hasn't eaten all day." The restaurant grew silent. Eyes turned, some in judgment, others in pity. Daniel froze. He had been asked for money before, but this was different. Her eyes tired, but filled with dignity met his, and in that moment, something stirred inside him. This was not just a request for food. This was survival, desperation wrapped in courage. He slowly pushed his plate toward her, but before she could take it, he did something that surprised even himself. Daniel stood and said, "Sit down, both of you. Tonight, you're not eating leftovers, you're my guests." The woman gasped, her son's eyes widened, and whispers rippled across the restaurant. But Daniel didn't care. As the waiters hurried to set places, Daniel asked for fresh meals, extra portions, and warm drinks. The boy devoured his food, his small hands shaking with hunger, while his mother tried to hold back tears. "Why would you do this for us?" she finally asked. Daniel smiled faintly. "Because someone once did it for me, and I've never forgotten." Then, piece by piece, her story unfolded. Her name was Grace. She had once dreamed of becoming a teacher, but life had been cruel. Her husband had abandoned her when their son was just a baby, and with no family to turn to, she worked odd jobs to survive. Tonight, she had skipped her own meal just to buy milk for her boy, but it hadn't been enough. Approaching Daniel had been her last resort, a choice between pride and her child's hunger. Daniel listened, and with every word, he saw a reflection of his own past. Long before he was a millionaire, he too had known hunger. He remembered nights when his mother went without food so he could eat. A kind stranger had once helped them, and that small act had planted a seed in his heart. That seed had grown into ambition, and ambition into fortune, but somewhere along the way, he had forgotten the pain of those hungry nights. A broken bar until now. "Grace," Daniel said softly, "you don't need to thank me, but I want to help you. Not just tonight, to truly help you." She looked at him in shock, not knowing whether to believe his words. Yet Daniel was serious. Over the following weeks, Daniel used his resources to find Grace a stable job, one that matched her dream of teaching. He enrolled her son, Ethan, into a good school and even provided a small apartment for them to live safely. Grace worked hard, proving herself capable and determined, while Ethan's laughter slowly returned, filling their little home with joy. But the story doesn't end there. One day, at a school event where Grace was now teaching, Daniel visited to see Ethan perform in a play. As the boy ran into his arms afterward, Daniel felt something he hadn't in years. Of family. Grace, too, had tears in her eyes. They had gone from strangers sharing a meal to people bound by kindness, and in their connection, Daniel's emptiness began to heal. You see, what started as a request for leftovers turned into something far greater: a second chance at life, dignity, and even love. The miracle wasn't just in what Daniel gave, it was in what he received. Through Grace and Ethan, he discovered the joy of belonging, the purpose of giving, and the power of compassion to change destinies. So the next time you see someone in need, remember this story. A simple act of kindness can ripple into a miracle you never expected, and maybe, just maybe, the person you help could be the very one who changes your life forever.